Chavo. Chavo, todo un hombre.
You know what? After WCW closed, I was actually the happiest guy on earth. Not because WCW closed, but because I needed to be away from wrestling. You know, I went through some pretty big personal stuff starting in August of '98. And when Vince McMahon bought WCW, I was ready to get out, and it was actually like it was a relief for me, because then I could focus on my marriage, focus on my family, and being a husband, being a dad, and try to make up for a lot of lost ground. So it was a double-edged sword, because I had that side of it, and then on the other side of it, it was kind of lousy because, you know, wrestling, just after all those years, it just stopped. One day in Panama City, I wrestled my last match against Ric Flair, and it was over. And you know, I had one of those contracts that Vince McMahon could not assume. He couldn't take it over. I couldn't believe it was over in some respects, you know, because it was my life. It was the way I made my living. It was, you know, I was living and eating and breathing wrestling for so long, and suddenly it was gone. So I did have some relief, but at the same time, I was freaking out a little bit, going, wow, what am I going to do? You know, I talked with Vince McMahon. He was really good to me. He was really good to me, and but I just got this feeling that he didn't. You know, I put it this way: all the guys from WCW that went to WWE when the acquisition happened, by then, to me, there wasn't a real WCW, because, you know, WCW was, for so many years, it was, you know, Hall and Nash, it was Hogan, it was Savage, it was Sting, it was Luger, it was the Steiner Brothers, it was, you know, a certain package of guys that were gone. And, you know, the package that he had left had dwindled down to about just a small group of guys who really, great wrestlers, phenomenal talents, but they weren't with WCW for all these years, and, you know, mainstay kind of names and all that. And then I was watching what he was doing storyline-wise when he'd have, you know, WCW against the WWF and the hostile takeover thing and that whole deal there. You know, I'll never forget Booker T, you know, making his first appearance on their show, and he came into the ring and he's making this big, huge fight, and the guys are flying all over the place, and then The Rock comes into the ring, and The Rock is hitting guys, and guys are flying all over the place, and then they come back to back, and then he turns around and they look at each other, and The Rock looks at Booker T and he says, "Who are you?" And, you know, that one little comment is all it took to just bury somebody, in my opinion, bury somebody like, you know, Booker T. And, you know, let's let the world know that you're a WCW guy and you're a peon here. It was going to require lots of work for Booker T to try to come back. And he did, because he's a talented guy. And after all the years that I'd put into wrestling up to that point, it just seemed like a gamble to me. I didn't trust how I would be used.
Impact Wrestling tonight, Spike TV, from Wembley Arena in London. You've been in the ring with everybody, it seems like, throughout the course of your career. Is there someone that you have not had the chance to work with that you want to?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'd have to say the top one, and, you know, on Twitter, it's just all over Twitter. I mean, wrestling fans are just talking about it like crazy. I might as well just comment on it. But Undertaker, you know, I think wrestling fans have wanted to see Sting versus Undertaker for years. And, you know, I think between, you know, his gimmick and mine, and, you know, it could be pretty cool. You could do some pretty cool stuff.
Absolutely. Do you ever have any regrets not doing anything with McMahon?
Yes and no. I mean, who wouldn't want to say that they did at least one WrestleMania? I mean, I'm not going to lie to you, of course. I'd like to be able to say that I at least did one of those, and that would be it. But I've had great conversations with him over the years, and been real close on probably 3 or 4 different occasions. Going up there. But there was always a need met or a desire of mine met, with WCW, and now with TNA, and so I stay. So,
Let me ask you this: when was the last time you almost jumped?
last year.
No kidding.
That's the truth.
That's
very close.
That's fantastic. We're talking to Sting, TNA Impact Wrestling tonight, Spike TV, Wembley Arena in London. You can follow him on Twitter at Sting. One match, if you could work with anybody, would it be Taker at this point, or is it somebody that you would want to rehash? And because you've had so many great matches with, like a Flair or somebody.
Yeah, no, I'd have to say Taker.
That's fantastic.
He'd probably be tops.
That is great.
Ooh, child.